Good for you. Here we go. All right. Yep. Make sure the mic's good for you.
Mic check. 1, 2.
There you go.
The mic is fine. Thank you.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this is our final candidate for Coffee with Candidates. So we are going to jump right into it. So good evening, sir. Thank you for coming tonight. Take 3 to 5 minutes, introduce yourself, talk about who you are and why you're running.
Thank you, McHugh. I'm the last candidate, not just of tonight, but the entire
This is it.
Coffee at the Cavalier Bookhouse. So
No pressure.
it's good to save the best for last. My name is John Wascom, and I have a lot to tell you, but I started back in 1981 working for the city of Denham Springs, changing water meters, jumping in the hole, fixing the water leak like Mr. Amato spoke of. And in 1995, I ran for city council in Denham Springs right here and got elected, served 16 years on the Denham Springs City Council, of which 12 of those I was the liaison with the water department. And so past that, then I got elected to the Livingston Parish Council and have served 8 years on the Livingston Parish Council. And it's been it's been very rewarding, and I've seen a lot of success and a lot of growth in Livingston and Denham Springs. And I'm glad to have been a part of that. And you know, as I served as liaison to the water department in Denham Springs, we came here. Denham Springs had like 3 water wells, deep water wells that went 2,000 feet below the earth. And we had one 250-gallon water tank right here. And just by being on the council and working with the water department and saying, let's make it better. Before I left, we have a 500-gallon right here by Railroad Avenue. And then we put a 1,000,000-gallon water tank down on Peace Highway, and we increased our water system dramatically and improved loops in the water system, because if you have a dead end, the water becomes stagnant and it's not very good. So we performed those things in Denham Springs, and you know, people really don't realize the benefits of quality drinking water. And then about a month and a half ago, I was at the parish council meeting, and some people came in from French Settlement in Marpaw, and they came with some gallon jugs and they stuck it on the counter, and it would look like just muddy water. And they're like, wow, this come out of a tap of our bathtubs and our faucets. And so I looked at that, and of course, you know, everybody's, that's terrible. And I'm like, we've never had this problem in Denham Springs. We take quality water for granted. And there's places in Livingston Parish that don't have good drinking water. And so I asked the guy, so, well, how many elevated water towers do you have? None. And I said, well, how many deep water wells do y'all have? None. They only go 500 feet, and your sewer is sometimes pouring in your ditch. And so I'm thinking, guys, this is a problem. We shouldn't have places like this in Livingston Parish. And I'm touching on water. There's so many things I want to talk about, and so I found those problems, and I said, this was a month and a half ago. I just figured this out, because I guess they thought it was normal. So I made a commitment the other night. After I'm reelected, I will work with District 6 and District 8. If they will have me, I will use the experience and the knowledge I have of creating and expanding water systems to improve the quality of life for all the residents of Livingston Parish. And because Denham Springs, we have it good compared to some of the other places. So I'm proud of our community. And McHugh, there's some other things I can talk about unless you have questions you want to go.
This is about you. Go ahead.
And look, I want to thank Mr. Jason Amata and so many people here tonight. But, you know, now, since I'm on the water thing, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself personally, why I think I am absolutely the best candidate for this particular position, council for, as being a business owner. Like Mr. Cavalier here owns the bookstore, and Mr. Ron has the Le Chien Brewery. These guys invest their time and their hard work, and they take a chance and on business. They take a chance on putting stuff on the line to see if they can make a success. What they don't want is government intruding and putting heavier restrictions and making harder on them. And as a business owner, I know the freedoms and the liberties that get taken away from people so much because of government or inexperienced government. So remind me of that, but I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to that as I continue to talk about water and freedom or good legislation. Back years ago, when I was on the city council, the state of Louisiana came to the parish council, the city council, and they said, we've got great news. We have $180,000 that we're going to give to you, the Denham Springs. All you have to do is use this money to put fluoride in your water. And so they come up with all these things, how fluoride in the water. And so I asked them at the council meeting, I said, why did you pick Livingston Parish to put fluoride in our water to come to us with this? And they said, because of your reputation of poor oral health. That was the exact words that was told to the Denham Springs City Council. And I said, I want to say, get out of here. But I didn't. And so I started researching hydrofluorosilicic acid, which is the product that comes off of fertilizer after they scrape the radiators. And that if you took that product and you dumped it in the Mississippi River, you would go to jail because it's poison. And so I started researching that particular product, and it's what's located in a tube of toothpaste that says on the back, do not swallow. And so I said, so researching some more, and so talked to some doctors, and they said, yeah, if you want fluoride, doctors do prescribe fluoride tablets, but like I said, toothpaste is most to be used topically, not systemically. And there are a few cases maybe the doctors use it, but again, you can't buy fluoride over the counter. It has to have a doctor's prescription. But yet here we are going to put it in our water. So I stood up against what I considered to be bad legislation, and I fought it in and the city council rallied behind me, and we were able to stop it. Right after I'd done that, the mayor of Walker came to me and said, John, I wish we would have heard what your presentation was before we did it, because we took the bait and we got the hook. So they were committed to that for years. Now, I don't know if they're still doing it or not. I don't know. So I guess what I'm saying is, there was the 30 or 35th president of the United States, Mr. Calvin Coolidge, made this comment. He said, it's better to stop bad legislation than it is to enact good legislation. And so, you know, I was speaking yesterday the other day at a drainage issue, and so I'll come. This will lead into it about when a local business owner, right? I could name him. He's right on Florida Boulevard. Built a funeral home right here, and so he put bought a land, spent a lot of money, like John and Mr. Ron and Mr. McHugh, and any business owner, he spends a lot of money, builds a nice, beautiful building, and he goes and pours concrete all for the front parking lot. And he gets to thinking, you know, sometimes we might have a big overflow from depending on who passes away. We'll just put an overflow parking lot in the back, but let's do it with limestone and let's put some gravel. Well, he went to the parish, and the parish said, oh no, you can't put limestone and gravel. You have to pour concrete. Our law says that. And I said, and they called me and said, John, that's going to cost us another $200,000 for the concrete that we have to pour. And I said, well, that's a bad law. Yeah, I mean, you know, don't do it. And let me say, gentlemen, I said, well, let's change that, or let's do a variance. And I got so much pushback from my fellow council members, from the administration, who sometimes they said, no, we can't make that. We can't give some people a variance for that. I said, it's a bad law. Change the law. So I started hearing excuses like, oh, well, if we let them do it, then Walmart's going to put gravel in their parking lot. Was that not the ridiculous argument? Walmart's not going to put gravel in their parking lot. I mean, or they said, well, if we do then McDonald's is going to have limestone drive-throughs. No, they're not. If they do and the customers don't use it, let the customer decide. Let the market decide what kind of pavement you want. But untie the hands of the local business owners. So I said, and I was losing the battle. I mean, I was going to lose. There's 9 of us out there, and I was going to lose it. So I got to thinking, and I pondered, and I tell you how I finally got it passed. I said, let's do if you allow gravel or limestone, it's a pervious material. You're letting water seep through into the ground. You're putting less water into the ditch because concrete or asphalt, every drop goes into the ditch, goes right onto the neighbor. I said, well, let's allow pervious material. You're improving flooding. And they fought me a little bit, but they couldn't win that argument as I started saying, I'm helping improve flooding. Well, then we passed the law and made the change, and now everybody thinks it's a great idea. And so good legislation is important, and most of it is taking restrictions off of the business owner who's trying to work hard and make a profit and provide services to the community. And let me tell you, local business owners do more for a community than a government does. The services that they provide, the private industry will reach out in time of need and help. I know when the flood, I had so many private friends and did so much for me. And let's see, where was I going? There was one more thing, something else I wanted to go back to, but I can't remember what it was. Do you have another question, McHugh?
Sure, if you're ready. So the question I have is that you spent well over a decade at the city council in Denham Springs. You will be spending well over a decade should you be elected at the parish council. You have now served as chairman.
Twice.
So you have been chairman twice. What have those experiences taught you about you are technically a legislator? What have those experiences taught you about being a legislator, and why should you be elected?
Why should I be what?
Why should people vote for you?
Oh, okay. Well, you're right. I, with my years of experience and with 9 people on the Livingston Parish Council, of which 6 are not running again. So there's only 3 of us running again. If I am elected and the other 2 also go in, you could combine the years of service of all 8 council members, and I'll have more years of experience than all other council members, even if the 2 that are running now are reelected. I'll have more years of experience. So, and I said that, McHugh, to say this, there is no substitute for experience. I know where I was going to go with this. So when I spoke about the pervious material earlier, someone asked me when I was giving that speech of how we passed that law and got it changed. Someone asked me, well, how did those bad laws get on the books? How do people how does government wind up passing these laws? And I said, it's a great question. I've got the answer. Most of the time, it's because when newly elected people who really have never been in public service before, they might do a great job of working at plants. They might do a good job of being lawnmower repairmen. They might be a good job of raising families, which are all admirable. They know nothing about being a good legislator and to defend liberties and freedoms. So I said, the problem is when new people get elected, they wind up showing, oh, now that I'm elected, I'm a genius overnight, and I have all the answers. So I know I will use my authority to make a law, and they don't think the laws through. Laws get on the books. And so let me tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and I have seen mistakes, and I've seen people do mistakes. And these past 8 years on the parish council has been hard, but you got to understand, it was a whole new council. We had 8 new ones. All 9 were new. It's just I was the one that had the most experience at the time, and we struggled for 8 years because everybody's trying to make their mark and get their laws passed. Some I thought were good, some I fought against. And let me tell you, one of the ones I fought against really hard McHugh knows all about this one, and most people know. We're in the parish council, and right after the election, someone comes up and says, I got a great idea. I'm going to protect Livingston Parish from West Nile virus. We're going to start a mosquito abatement program parish-wide. We're going to tax everybody, and we're going to spray mosquito poison, dope, whatever, poison out through the whole parish, and we're going to kill mosquitoes. And most of the council members, pretty much all of them, save John Wascom, said, "Oh, that's great. We're gonna show the parish they elected the right people." And so they wanted to create a whole district. And I said, "Whoa, guys, whoa. You want to tax the whole parish and create a district for the whole parish?" And so I started working on some of the other council members, and I started talking about how your constituents don't really want to pay that tax, and they could abate their mosquitoes a lot cheaper and a lot more effective and a lot more efficient if they do it their own self in their backyard. So some of the council members kind of came with me, however, not all of them. So the ones who did not agree with me said, well, they lost. So they said, well, that shows you, I'll just do it for my district. So 2 districts up north, District 2 and District 3, teamed up to say, well, we're going to put our district in the mosquito abatement. Don't y'all stop us from doing it. So I said, no, I'm not voting for that either, because you're going to then you're going to want to take money from the parish to spray just your district. And so the other council members that went with me to stop it for the parish wide said, well, John, let's give them a chance. Let's try something. Let's blaze a new trail. Let's make our mark, show people how great we are. So I fought that tooth and nail. And so they created the district, of which I voted against. And so then, sure enough, they came to the parish and said, well, we have $100,000 in the parish that was given. So we want you to give us all the money so we could start our mosquito abatement district. Again, I was the cog in the wheel that said, no, don't give them money. Let's use that money. If you want to use it for mosquito abatement, let's educate the people in the parish to go out during mosquito season, turn their water buckets over, send out flyers to tell people how to abate mosquitoes. Matter of fact, use that money to go clean road ditches, which is a proven fact to keep water from becoming stagnant and keeping mosquitoes. And so I said, surely I'm winning this battle. And I kind of lost that one too. So they wound up giving them some money. And I said, don't give them the money, because they're just going to use that money to campaign for a tax. And sure enough, they went and campaigned for a tax, the 2 council members for that district. And if you're not sure, ask me after the meeting. I'll tell you who they were. But they campaigned for the tax. And I was thinking, man, I hope the people of and they just knew it was going to pass. They brought professionals in who came in and from Baton Rouge said, oh, we got a $2 million budget for mosquito abatement. I said, well, we couldn't do that good. I said, so you're telling me if I come to your parish, I won't get bit by mosquitoes? Oh, you're going to get bit. So yeah, so we all going to get bit by mosquitoes, and the fear mongering from government officials to say, whoa, if we don't do this, people are going to die of West Nile. Y'all, it wasn't 2 years later, COVID hit, and nobody's even talking about West Nile anymore. It's the furthest thing from their mind. They're COVID. And they said, oh, John, we're going to have West Nile in epic proportions, was their exact words, if we don't impose this mosquito abatement on people. And so fortunately, it went to the vote of the people, and the people spoke loud and clear and said, no, we don't want it. And look, I abate mosquitoes at my house. I kill mosquitoes. I believe in spending the money and protecting, but I can't abate mosquitoes down in the swamp of Marpaw. You just can't do it. So anyway, that tax failed. And, it's amazing how people soon forget, they soon forget that sometimes politicians just kind of hide things over, and they soon forget. But before I leave, and I know there's questions, McHugh, but I want to talk about, I don't know if you had any thoughts about talking about drainage or moratoriums or overgrowth and development in the parish. Let me say something else about, do you have any questions you have to get answered, or can I keep going?
This is about you, John.
Okay,
So if you
all right.
want to keep talking, you can. You've got 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the developments in Livingston Parish. And what I'm telling you are the facts. These are the honest truth. And people can spin it. They'll vote one way and spin it to make you think they voted a different way. And that I see it all the time. Our traffic is outstandingly horrible. I mean, you can't get around in Livingston Parish. Our drainage needs improvement. There's so many things that's wrong. So the people in Livingston Parish got getting loud and said, look, and now you're putting a 2,000 home subdivision right down on 4-H Club Road. And you're gonna put all that traffic from 4-H all the way up to 190 trying to go to Baton Rouge. You can't do it. So they came to the parish council and said, look, hold on, stop, put the moratorium. And I voted. I said, yes, let's slow it down until we can get some more infrastructure, get the roads. And our school board said, please slow down. We're at capacity. Our water, our drainage. And so we held up. And, the council members fought against it to make it come in, but they would say, well, it's the law. We have to let them. We as legislative bodies have the full authority to protect the safety, health, and welfare of our community. We have that authority. And I stood up against it. And then they said, well, if you don't do it, if you vote to allow that to happen, you're going to get sued. Well, let me tell you, I did get sued. And if you want to know who was for slowing it down or who was for letting it go and pretending they're for slowing it down, look who got sued. And I was one of the ones that got sued in a federal lawsuit because I voted against it. But I've been doing this for a long time. You are not going to scare or intimidate me to giving up the welfare, the safety and health of my constituents, of our community. And so, people can sit back and when they're not under pressure and say, oh, we should slow it down. Yeah, you say that. And then it's even easier for people who've never been elected to say, oh, I'm not for slowing down irresponsible growth, for stopping that. We got to protect the. It's easy to say when you're not even elected, but when you're elected and you got pressure from lawyers and developers and real estate agents and big money putting that pressure on you, with the person that stands up and says, no, I'm voting against it. It's what you get, and who's voting on your side, who's supporting you. And so it's easy to say things when you haven't done it. But let me say, I have, for the past 8 years as a parish councilman, 8 years, Miss Laura, I have been the most consistent councilman to protect property ownership rights, the freedoms, and to slow and to not to over regulate the parish, but not to have irresponsible growth until our infrastructure builds up. So, McHugh, I don't know how much time we got, but
you have 4.5 minutes.
4.5 minutes. Okay. So I just want to tell you that I have been the most. So you asked me why? Am I the one to elect? By far, I'm convinced that I am one. We have some of the good legislation. We've gotten $120 million since 2016 to desnag and clean the debris out of all the creeks: Beaver Creek, Coyote Creek, Middle Creek, West Coyote, just all the way down Grace Creek. $4 million project right now, dredging Lake Marpaw, where Blind River, Amite River, and Dutch Mile goes in. We are dredging that out right now on a $4 million project. And because if you can't get the water into the lake, you can't get it out the Amite or Bryan River and stop the flooding. $15 million box culvert project right now underway that we're fixing to do on I-12. They talking about the barrier. Well, I heard you say earlier about they can't get the barrier. Well, what we're doing, we're putting box culverts to get the water under. Well, dang it, if you ain't going to let us go over, send the water over, we're going to take it under it. So we're doing some good things there. and as far as your parish councilman here in Denham Springs, when I first got elected in 2016, we did 3 streets. Now, we had a heavy bond left over from the previous administration, but this year in the city limits of Denham, or in District 4, I've gotten 10 streets. I mean, every year it's been increasing from $220,000 in 2016. This year it's $1.3 million of overlay money going straight from taxes to asphalt that we're doing. Real quick, Pine Street, Gray Eagle, Tracy, Bruce, Gary Drive, Deemer, Monterey, Montgomery, Weeping Willow, Josephine, and Willowbrook. For all of those that are listening, those are the streets that will be done this year. I apologize that they didn't do it earlier in the year, but last year they started on this side of the parish and went to the east. And because of that, this year they're starting on the east side going to the west. And so Denham Springs, we probably won't get those streets done until probably, I'd say, November. Hopefully we'll be finished before the end of the year. So, how much more time we got, McHugh?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Let's see.
I can ask you a question.
Oh, bad question. Go ahead.
Okay. Something that continues to come up is animal control.
Okay.
It has been discussed at several of these interviews. What are your feelings on animal control in the parish, which is currently unfunded? And how would you try to push it forward with some kind of funding mechanism?
I don't like that question. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about something else. No, look, you know, every year this comes up about election time, and I will support any ideas for animal control. I don't have any good ideas for that, McHugh. I mean, I hear it every year for the past 6 times. This is my 9th time to run for office, including the time I ran and didn't win the 2 times. But this is the 9th time. And, you know, that comes up all the time. I don't have the answer for that. I will, and I'll commit right now to support any ideas for animal control. I'm open. I'll listen. But to tell you I've got the fix, I don't. I don't have it. I'm honest. But I will support it. Give me a way to do it. I mean, right now, I'm thinking about ways to fix other things, and I hadn't focused on fixing that, McHugh. So I don't know if that's probably what you wanted to hear or not, but
again, it's about you.
Okay, let me say one more thing. You know, and having the foresight when I was on the city council, this was before Bass Pro was here, before Jubin Crossing. Denham Springs had $10 million trying to fix our traffic problem to put an interchange right here at Pete's Highway. The parish had $10 million to put an interchange at Jubin Road, right there, the one that neither one of them are there. And so we didn't want to give the money to the parish, and the parish didn't want to give theirs to us. So, you know, we were at a stalemate, and the people are the ones stuck. So what we did as a council, we had the forward thinking to say, let's annex over toward Jubin, and we put the money with the Jubin money and create a $10 million. Now, you couldn't build an interchange now for $20 million, but back then we did. And Jubin Cross and that Jubin interchange, interstate exit, went into place because of that forward thinking, and because of that, we annexed that area in. We didn't want the residential over there. We just took in the commercial because that's where the revenue comes in. And so we did, you know, and I hear people say all the time, and it's said here tonight, we ain't had a new road in Livingston Parish in 100 years. I've heard that said for a time, but I remember on the city council right here in Denham Springs when Bass Pro was nothing but a deer track woods, and we had the foresight to fight for what's called a TIF program, I believe is what that was, a tax increment financing. And the people come out against it and fought us, and we kept pushing, and we got that vote passed, and we did Bass Pro. And with that, we built Bass Pro Boulevard from Range Avenue to Florida Boulevard. Now, you might not call it a new road. I call it a new road because it combines 2 major state interstate roads, and Bass Pro Boulevard is fantastic. And so, you know, you got to invest in the future. That's why I want to invest in the water and other parts of the parish. I want to invest in our sewer. We got to expand that. I think the future of Livingston Parish is great. It looks good. I think it's looking good. And I'm asking you for the next 4 years, do like John Wascom. Be consistent and vote for me for Parish Councilman District 4.
All right. Where can folks find more information about you? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, you could go to easy way is just go to Google and Google John Wascom, but go to Facebook, type in John Wascom, go to Livingston Parish News and find this site right here. And then you can find me, or you can go to the Livingston Parish Council. There's a list of all the council members. You can find me there. But if you get a chance, if you haven't been to Le Chien Brewery in Denham Springs, go by, tell Ron John Wascom sent you, and he might even give you give him about $4 or $5. He might give you a free beer, and go by and see John Cavalier. Mr. Jason Amata, it was a pleasure to see you. That's how you get in touch with me. And do me a favor, if you live in my district or if you know somebody in my district, please, if you're watching this and you don't live in Denham Springs or around, make a phone call for me. Say, hey, John Wascom's fighting for us. He's fighting for us, the whole parish. So put a vote in and make a phone call for me.
All right.
Thank you so much, McHugh and John Cavalier and Mr. Ron and Jason Amata. Oh, and last thing, I would like to say thank you to my lovely wife, Linda. We've been married now for 36 years, and we just had our first granddaughter, 2 months old, and I'm a blessed man. That's all I can say. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for taking the time. John, if you want to close it out.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to all the candidates that came out. Thank you for participating. Thanks for everyone that's been watching all of these videos. Thanks to the Livingston Parish News for all the thoughtful questions. 10 days from today, go vote. Thanks.
And early voting is still going on. You can go to the Denham Springs Walker Branch Library or the Registrar of Voters office in Livingston. Polls are open from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that will close out Saturday. And then at that point, you're locked out. You got to vote on October 14th.